How's it going? For those of you who may not know me, my name is Andrew Almeida, and before I begin my presentation, I'd like to tell you guys a little bit about where I'm from and how I grew up. So, I grew up in the small suburban town of Raleigh, Massachusetts, and before coming to Salem State, I graduated from Triton Regional High School in Byfield, the year 2016. I'm a freshman now. For those of you who have never been to Triton or visited Triton, Triton is an almost exclusively white school, with 95.1% of the population is Caucasian, with the other 4.9% being made up by a variety of different nationalities and minority groups. This is not unlike many of the other rural high schools in the area. In my high school, much like many others in the nation, we focus on the traditional subjects such as math, English, and the sciences. And while they did a pretty good job at teaching these subjects, it led to me knowing very little about the topics that would be presented in this class. Whilst in this class, I've been exposed to many new ideas that I had never given much thought about, such as racism, poverty, inequality, and how they're all key integral parts into why our public education system is failing. This has got myself asking some questions as to why it's happening and how we can fix it. After hearing about some crazy statistics like the 50% literacy rate in Detroit, Michigan, it got me wondering and asking myself, why are people letting this happen? There must be some reason why these bad things continue to happen and nobody's taking action. So, I started making some assumptions. My first assumption was that people were ignorant and that they just didn't know about these problems. This might be my assumption because I'm optimistic and I like to see the good in people. It also could be because I'm white and I don't know the problems that are faced by minority groups, but this was the assumption I had originally, that nobody knew what was going on and that's why they weren't taking action. After doing some more research and spending time in this class, I started to realize that there were two different groups of people: those who were unintentionally ignorant and were unaware of the issues faced by the inner city schools, and those who were malicious and turned the other cheek while sweeping the problems that the inner city schools faced under the rug. The first group of people I decided to look at were those who I assumed were unintentionally ignorant of the issues faced by inner city schools. I decided to interview a couple of my friends over spring break and ask them about topics and questions we had discussed in class and what their opinions on them were, having no prior background knowledge. When asked why public inner city schools were failing and not doing as well as suburban schools, I got a variety of different responses. Some didn't know, and others blamed the students, which echoed a lot of when we were talking about stereotypes that racial minority groups have. This got me a little worried. After simply talking to the two groups that didn't know or were blaming the students and showing them a few videos such as the prison to pipeline video, I was able to get them to slightly change their mind and start to understand why, when students are treated like prisoners and not treated equally, they don't perform as well as other schools. This got me thinking, how can we fix this? This simple talk led to me coming to the realization that the easiest way to fix people who are unintentionally ignorant of the issues is, believe it or not, to teach them about the issues. Imagine how good it would be to have a class like this in our high school, or any high school in rural areas. How can you expect people to understand other problems if they don't even know what they are or don't see them on a daily basis? After talking about the people who are unintentionally ignorant, this brings me back to the more malicious and more problem group, people who are intentionally ignorant. People who know there are problems and continue to ignore them and look the other way when they see bad results. This goes for people like Betsy DeVoe, corrupt school boards, and bad teachers who don't care about students. This lovely woman, Betsy DeVoe, is Trump's Secretary of Education choice. She has no teaching experience, no education degree, and has never attended a public school. She doesn't believe in public schools and she wants there to be more for profit schools. She knows the harm she's doing, she doesn't care, and she plans on continuing this in the future. Another group of people that know about the problems but are repeatedly ignoring them are corrupt school boards. They do this by lying about attendance to receive more funding, fudging test scores to make it look like they're performing when they actually aren't, whilst also being unwilling to make changes that will help better the school and student experience. Now excuse me while I take the time to switch over to the other Powtoon because I was too cheap to purchase the actual premium version and I'm stuck on the trial account. 1 second, guys.
Created using Powtoon.